been thinking about this for a long time. Very excited to have Mike here. Kathy talked about we are in the people potential business. And there's an individual I have ever met that doesn't see and is able to develop the potential in people better than Mike Hopkins, right here, right now. I always feel better after spending just a few minutes with him, so we're glad to have him. Now, some of you in the room may remember him from way back when. This floppy-haired kid, not yet, not anymore, from Southern California, who, based on his grit and leadership ability, went on to captain the 92-93 Syracuse Orangemen. He then was, for probably everybody in the room knows, a long-time assistant to Jim Boeheim, responsible for bringing in some of the best talent that the university has ever known. Names such as Carmelo Anthony and Jerry McNamara, who led SU to the 2003 national championship, right? I've had the privilege of working with Mike when he was at SU, and I got to tell you, there was never a meeting that wasn't fun and exciting, and I've had the privilege of following him to the University of Washington. And it was with great pride that I introduce our client and my friend, Mike Hopkins. Thank you.
Oh! Before I get started, the camera's out, phone's off, Michael. I got really some really good friends here, so thank you for coming. I'm honored to be here. I'm humbled, and this is the first time that I've been back to Syracuse since I left, and so. Welcome home. Anyway, I'll get started. Composure, man. Head coach, damn it. All right. Lead forward. And yeah, listen, you guys. I'm humbled to be here, and really nice introduction, Ralph. And I think for me, I'm here. There's a lot of great leaders, business leaders, local leaders, and for me, I'm a first-year leader at the University of Washington, and I'm here not to tell you I have all the answers. I'm here to share with you my experiences, which I think I've been trained by the best. For me, I was always one of these guys, always in search of something greater. I was always was built to I always felt like if I wasn't learning and I wasn't growing, I wasn't getting better. And that's what always inspired me. I just wanted to be a guy that made a difference, coach kids' lives, and do that. And then you kind of hit a crossroads time of your life, and you start to, trying to figure out, who am I? And so you start going, reading books, and I was a huge Tony Robbins guy at the start. He's inspired me, and I went to, I read all the books, I'd take the courses, I'd do all those different things. I started going on a journey. I started watching Oprah's Super Soul Sunday. Anybody ever watch Super Soul Sunday? She's the greatest of all, and I'm watching like these guys. I'm like watching Oprah. I read Eckhart Tolle's book, and he, The Power Now, and it talks about like the ego and all this stuff. And I'm just going through this journey, and I'm reading this, and I'm like really intrigued because I want to get better. How do I get better? And it was funny. A friend of mine who just became, he's an amazing, one of my best friends growing up, just became a general in the military, and he came out to Syracuse to visit me. Kids went to camp. We go out and we talk about leadership, and he goes, Mike, is this what you really want? I know you've been the head coach there. Have you tried other jobs? What have you, what inspires you? And we're just talking, and it's getting little hits. And so we go and we say, let's go down and run at Green Lakes. So we go down there. Green Lakes is my spiritual place, man. The most beautiful place on planet Earth. I would sit down there, meditate, do all my things. Me and Ricky run around, and there's a guy here tonight. Where's Gregor? Greg Massengale. We had lived together. I'm not going to tell who we lived with because we'd probably go to prison for like 10 years. But we were roommates for a short stint. an inspiring guy. And we just run into him. You know, it's like we run. I haven't seen him in I don't even know how many years. Was it 10 years or whatever it was? And it's like this, you know, I don't know. He used the word serendipity today. Someone's upstairs looking above, like putting you in position. We run into Gregor. And me and Ricky have all been talking about leadership. And I'm like, here's my good friend, Greg Matzik. I haven't seen him in years. And they were both actually training for a 50-mile run. 50, I mean, is that, am I accurate? If I'm not, just throw things at me up here. So we start talking. And we're like, gosh, you know, Hop, he had been in the business, and he's telling me what he's been doing and how he had this business, and he grew it. And he said, you know what, I hired a great coach. And have you ever thought of getting a business coach, somebody that, can inspire you or take you down? Because basketball is one part of it. When you run an organization, you're running an organization. It's a business. And we talked a little bit further, and he, talked to me about, which led me to Ralph Simone. And so I called, and it's like, you meet Ralph, and it's like electric from the first time, right? And all this energy. And I'd never seen anybody. He's like, I'm the guy. I'm always like, I don't know, 3 minutes late, or was it 2 minutes late? But he'd always be outside before, like reading. He was a constant, voracious reader. And we came in the first time, and we spoke, and it was like inspiration, And I think great coaches are people that inspire. People that not only, I think there's change in terms of, okay, this is a system or this and this, but the real great leaders, I think, inspire people. That's real change, right? Something that comes from deep within. And I was in that place. I was looking for that. I was searching for it. I run into a friend who recommends this, and you can't tell me that people aren't upstairs leading this. And then I go and I meet Ralph. And God, I started, it was the Oprah, it was Super Soul, and then it was my boy Ralph Simone. It started to become my system, like what inspired me. And I'll always remember, we had these great conversations, you shared books, and he would always reference to me, he's like, Mike, the leadership, everything that I'm going to tell you, it's in you. It's my job to pull it out of you. And that's what great leaders do. They pull the best. They find out what your strengths are, and they pull it out. They find out what your weaknesses are, and they build that. And then most important, they make you believe. They make you believe that you can do it. Because anything in life, to accomplish anything, and obviously we got great leaders here, you got to believe. You got to frickin' believe. So I go through this process with Ralph, and one of the great things that he gave me was this pad. And I don't know, anybody's ever worked with Ralph. He gave me this pad, and he says to me, it's like the same thing. It's like it's a weekly work pad, and it says values over here and intentions, and it says energy, and it says slow down to go faster. And I'm looking at this thing, and he says to me, he says, Mike, I want you to write down your values. Now, I'm 40, whatever, I don't know, 40, I'm 49 today. And he said, I had a great set of hair, and now I'm all screwed, right? I got the Manu Ginobili back here. There's a lot of things I'm working with. But I had worked with Ralph, and, going through the process, he had this pad. He says, what are your values? What do you value? And I'm like, I'm 40, whatever, and I'm going 46 years old going, oh, God, I never thought about this. What do I value? So he gives me examples, and you start thinking, I'm going to go home and I'm going to work on it. And, why do you coach? And you start like really digging deep. And he took me through this process of really becoming self-aware. Who am I? What do I want? And so I'm going through the values, and it's family, it's my faith. But I needed something more. I was looking for something more. So now I'm working on this pad every day. I'm writing down my values once a week. I'm writing down what my intentions are. Why do I coach? He taught me about energy, which as a coach, and I'm sure as a new leader, you get to a point where you're just going 1,000 miles an hour. You get sick, whatever. You're not taking care of yourself. And he breaks it down like, it's all about energy renewal. And I'll always remember that. I use it with our team now. Energy renewal. I'm like, well, that's stupid. you know, and then it was, you know, it was going back. It was like, okay, well, relationships, you know, my wife, you know, you get so caught up in what you're doing, you forget about who? My wife. She'll understand, right? So I started going through on my pad, and I'm like, this is just simplicity 101. It forced me to, which is called the funneling pad, is to see it like this. And how do I focus on the things that really matter in a world where we're taken to 92 different spots daily? How do I stay focused? How do I become my best? And that was all with my energy. And if you know me, that's what I pride myself on. You know, I'll do push-ups in a little bit, one arm, back arm, pull up. But it's energy, you know, and that's, you know. And so I went through this process and, you know, really dug deep. And it took me to a place of what I really wanted. And I always wanted to be, my goal was I wanted to be the greatest coach to ever coach. It wasn't to be the head coach at Syracuse. I didn't want to be the coach here. I wanted to be the greatest coach ever. That was my goal. That was my dream. And, you know, he took me to a place to start thinking that way and really helped me focus on what I wanted. And I've been interviewed by multiple teams, have had opportunities to leave. And then it started to become what was really important to me if I was, or if I went through the process, what would inspire me to go? And that would be, number one, an unbelievable leader, right? At the end of the day, you know, and I hate to say this, my son got in trouble once. He did. In the 7th grade. And we went into the principal's office, and she says, I said, I'm really concerned with my son. And she goes, I said, what do you think we have to do? And she says, you know, he's got to surround himself with better friends. And she said, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I'm like, God, that's simple. Damn, I didn't know that. You know, I've been reading all these books. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. So we go through this. And, you know, like I want to surround myself with a leader that our values align. You know, it's one thing I learned from Ralph, values aligning. You know, what are you going to do? Who do you want to work with? What are their visions? And I had met, and obviously you know, Syracuse, you know, built me, right? Special place in my heart. Being at Washington, it was scary as shit, excuse my French. I was scared like you wouldn't believe, but I did it because I believed in the leader. She had the same vision. And for me, like spiritually and who I am, I was always the underdog. I was the guy who had to do what? You know, I didn't have a good jump shot. Who said? He said, you had to dive on loose balls and play defense, because basically it's saying you can't shoot well, you can't dribble well. Find a way to get on the court. And so, you know, but that was also smart, right? That was my dad. But that's what, you know, I had to do. And I always had a chip on my shoulder. I always felt like I had the underdog spirit, a lot like the Syracuse community in a lot of different ways. But that's what I felt like. And we you know, there was a connection there and the vision. And I just was inspired to sit there and say, God, what can I go and build? You know, sometimes I think you question because you get to the highest point of your careers or whatever, and you sit there and you say, do I got it? Do you have what it takes? I think we all self-doubt. You know, I think at some points, I think that's the greatest things about like what Ralph did for me is we all have doubts. We all have questions. You know what I mean? Here, chest bump, right? On 3. But we all have doubts. We all have questions. And, you know, no one steals my book title because it was said tonight, but everybody needs a coach. Everybody. And it could be anybody that gives you that advice. And so I decide I go out to the University of Washington, and I got to be honest with you, and like I said, this is the first day back. We went out there, and it was you know 24/7, 40. I mean, it was just gone. I had to hire a staff. I ran into, I don't know if any of the leaders here. I had you know, usually when someone gets a job, they take the whole staff that they have with them. I didn't bring anybody with me. I had to hire all new people. And then, you know, where I was really lucky because I really believe in how important the interviewing process is in finding the right people. And I got lucky a little bit, but our values were aligned. And I surrounded myself with people I love to go to work with every day, which is rare. But it was a great thing. And then, you know, one of the things I used to always talk to Ralph about, because he took me to a place to really find what I really wanted, dig deep in terms of who I am, and made me a better leader. And I used to always say, when I take over at Syracuse, I would love to bring your program to our players, because I learned it at 40. 46 years old. What if I could do that to my son, and he's 17? What if I could do it to these younger kids, and they could learn these lessons, and you can take them through the process at this early age? I think it's the greatest gift you can give somebody. And so I had reached out to Ralph and talked to him about at the University of Washington. I was at my daughter's soccer practice, and that we have a parent of someone that my daughter played with. So it was great seeing you. But it was, she's at a soccer practice, and I'm just thinking, like, how do I make this thing great? What can I do? And you go back to your fundamentals and what you think's important, and how can I grow these guys? How can I make them believe? How can I make them better leaders? Because Walter said today, and it's one of our quotes that we use in our team, is how you do anything is how you do everything. And so it's one of the big things that we do. So if we can teach them to be great leaders and great people, that translates. Culture, playing for something bigger than yourself. And so I reached out to Ralph. I hadn't talked to him in a while, and he was like, how's everything going? I'm like, it's great. I'll share with you guys this culture playbook that we put together that Ralph inspired me to do and took me through that process. And then how do we develop a leadership program that's different than everybody else, which Ralph and Cindy, and we got on a Skype video, a little far trip to Seattle. Actually, it only took 4 hours straight to JFK, just so you know. So if you ever want to come and support, that'd be great. But I want to share with you, I'm first going to share, again, I wish I had the papers here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this culture playbook. And, I think it was really important when I took over this job to really define, who are we? What are we going to be about? And if you guys followed the media, a big thing was us with our company or our business was our program was Tougher Together. And we came up with that through 3 very simple things. We believe in unselfish action, and the behaviors that we're trying to get our players to believe in and do on a day-to-day basis. We use a word called one more. And one more is one more rep, one more pass, unselfish action, right? Helping each other. We use a term called I got your back, which is a defensive term. We'll be there, I got your back, I got your back. Step side, big step, I got your back. It's a vocal thing. We say it every day, and it is pounded in their head, and if they're not, they're running. Force feed them. Number 3, love, believe, and push each other. We believe that when you have accountability from coaches, but once you start having team accountability is when you become great. And we believe if we have those 3 behaviors that we become tougher together. That's how we got into Tougher Together. The second belief that we believe it is an unrelenting attack. And with unrelenting attack, we use a term called multiple effort mentality. The play is never gone. You're constantly playing. It's never finished. You're constantly making effort. Own the ball, which everybody knows you defend the ball. The most important thing is the ball, and you have to fight for the ball. It's a very simple concept, but it works. And then most importantly, this is a big thing that when I was growing up, be comfortable being uncomfortable. We were a program that was what? They won 9 games and they had the #1 pick in the NBA draft. They stopped believing. They weren't comfortable. You're at Arizona, you're playing, they would fold, they would crack. It was a big word for us. And we believe with an unrelenting attack, multiple effort mentality, owning the ball, be comfortable being uncomfortable, the one thing after we play, we'll always be moving forward. And that's a big thing for me. It's one of the things that Ralph had helped me with, is just believing that regardless win or lose, you're always moving where? You're always moving forward. And lastly, we believe in uncommon preparation. So when you come into work, create positive energy. We believe in 6-step prep, which is mental, spiritual, physical, very similar to the pad. And then most importantly, finish. You have to finish. And if we do this, we'll be ready for anything. And so that's who we are. That's what we fight for. we talk about culture. There's a lot of leaders here. The one thing in our organization is culture is exclusive. It's not inclusive. Not everybody fits. And sometimes you make a mistake. We lost 2 or 3 guys, not because they weren't good enough, but they weren't fits for our culture. It's something on a day-to-day basis that I had learned that you know, if a kid's not good enough, that's fine. You know, like this and that, but you fight for your culture on a day-to-day basis. Our organization, I'll say it's like a rake in the sand. It's not just me. It's like the Emergent team. It's everybody that's pushing the culture. It's our trainer. It's our strength coach. It's our managers. It's our GAs. Everybody has ownership, and everybody's pushing it. And if you're not, you're gone. Very simple. I think strong culture is the key to success. I really do. We all have an offensive system. We all have a defensive system. Who has a culture system? Who has a culture system? Or who in here says we say one thing? I think the biggest... Don't worry about it, man. Give me a... What's up? Go good. Are you good? I double dog dare you. Yeah, we believe that it's exclusive. And at the end of the day, you know, it's the one thing I learned about, because everybody needs to be on the same page. As a team, as a leader, we like to say, you know, you're playing for something greater than yourself. And that's really what true teams are. And I think the connection with the fans, it's one of the things that made Syracuse so great for so many years, is there was a connection. There was not only a connection with the community of what it represents from grit and hard work, and you know, the weather sucks, yeah, but we're going to kick your butt. You know, it was like this feeling of connection, which has been great. And lastly, and I think I can pull it up here. We were able to develop a program with Ralph, and I like to use the word. You know, everybody in our game, everybody has tattoos. So one of the things that we wanted to do is called brain tattoos. We wanted to give kids brain tattoos, things that lasted forever. And so when I had spoken to Cindy and Ralph, we got on a conference call and developed this program. You know, it was just incredible because, you know, you have a vision, you have the idea, and next thing you know, you're getting thrown out, well, how about this? What about this? And I'm just like, oh my God, we're in there for, I think it was like 3 hours, and it was so exciting, you know, and especially when you're feeling like you're going to change the kids that you work with every day, their life. And it was taking me through my process, like what were the things that Ralph had taught me that I could just share with everybody, share to the world. And so we created this program, which there's 7 key pieces. There's leadership is one, servant leadership, self-discovery, focus, energy management, self-awareness, resiliency, and service. And you know, I'll give you a sneak peek, but there's an actual lesson where there's a video for 6 or 7 minutes. Kids' attention spans are done, but there's a lesson that we give the team, and then there's follow-up. There's actually questions, there's homework, and then there's a video. Kids love video, and you should see some of these videos. They're absolutely extraordinary. From Remember the Titans on leadership, there's a great scene, and you know, we're using social media and this thing, which they get 99% of all their information, to be able to you know, be pushed out to these guys on a day-to-day basis. And then we have an action. So for instance, when we do service, we have these things called character days. We just had a character day where they went out for 6 hours. Seattle has a large homeless community. And so we had sent our players out to feed the homeless, to serve the homeless, to interact with the homeless, to try to inspire the homeless and talk to them as people. And so, you know, part of our job, it's what's so exciting when you're, you know, going through Ralph, and they talked about your intentions. And I never would have thought about that if I was never taken down that path. And that's what great leadership does. It exposes you. You know, a good friend of mine used to always say, how do you know what you don't know? And you cut it back, well, that's stupid. No, that's pretty good. And so I've just been really, really lucky, guys. And special for me to be here with you guys. You raised me. Yeah. And hopefully you're proud of me. You know, people will say, and obviously you do, at University of Washington, but you know, Syracuse raised me. I've been here a long time. People would say where you were from before, and I'd be so proud to say, I'm from California. Yeah, I used to have great beach blonde hair. Now where are you from? I'm like, Yugoslavia? You know? And they'll say, someone said when I was here for 22 years and I was here for 5 as a player, I'd spent more than half my life here. So you'll always be in my heart. Hopefully you're proud. So now there's my emotion.